What's going on, everybody? It's your boy AJ, and this is AJREACTS2. Today, I have a very cool, amazing guest on the stream, Elliot from HakunaMaChatter. We're going to discuss Korra, the Legend of Korra, in the Avatar universe. I am so excited to just kind of hash it out and discuss this show in this awesome universe. Let me just add him into the stream here. Elliot.
Yo.
What's up?
Yo. How you doing, man?
I'm great. I am very good. I'm ready to get into this discussion, man.
You know it. I'm ready.
Are you pumped?
I'm pumped. I got my Earth Kingdom jersey on, as you guys play jersey. I'm here. It says Toff on the back. I can't really turn around with my headphones, but yeah, nice. I'm ready. I'm here. I got my avatar pops above me over there as well. So
ooh, yeah, I love
no
those.
Korras yet.
Yeah, no, I wish they had the Korra pops.
They're out.
They are?
Yeah, you can get Korra, Asami, Mako, and Amon at the moment. So
ooh, okay.
Yeah,
I think I might have saw an Amon one. I haven't seen any other ones.
Right.
But yeah, I have two of those. I have the Aang one and the Zuko one, but I don't have the rest.
Yeah, I've got Team Avatar, just missing Appa from Team Avatar, but
okay.
Yeah,
nice. So yeah, today we're gonna be discussing Legend of Korra. And do you have anything that you want to say before we, dive deep into the series?
Oh my, okay, Legend of Korra. For me, it's one of those spin-off shows that absolutely, for me, hits the nail on the head, and it does the perfect thing of keeping the feel of the original while at the same time being something new, being its own thing as well. And that's why I'm really excited that you brought me on to talk about it today.
Yes. I have different feelings about Korra. I do enjoy the show tremendously. I love the show. There are just different aspects of the show that I don't really care for, and I know that you love, so it might become a little bit of a debate, but it's going to be all friendly, all respectful. So yeah, we're going to just hop into it here. We're going to talk about the heroes, the characters. So do you have any favorite characters as far as heroes go here?
Yeah, in terms of heroes, I guess I mean, starting off, it was always Berlin for me, but then as the show went on, heroes wise, and actually my two favorite characters of the show are Varrick and Soooo Beifong later on as well. Varrick, I think, for me, just really came in and, he stepped the comedic side of the show up a couple gears. And for me, that really worked. And, he starts off sort of as a villain in the second season, but then come 3 and 4, he's an integral part of Team Avatar. And then Soooo Beifong, she, for me, just hits that perfect spot of being maternal, but you piss her off and she will do you hard.
She has such an amazing ability, and it's kind of masked by motherhood, but when it comes down to it, she's gonna take care of business.
Yeah.
I love Soooo.
And she also does really nicely. And I mean, the whole of Legend of Korra, the universe of it does this, but the way that earth bending has developed in Legend of Korra and metal bending, and I think, that it's a lighter, quicker style of bending now. Yeah. And I think she really just exemplifies that.
Kind of like more modernized version.
Yeah.
And Toph did it so well in the last Airbender series, but, you see this, bending style taken and just modernized, and it flows so well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like the authorities even use that as their tactics for arresting criminals and things like that, and and it's so smooth. I love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would say my favorite characters, Bolin, and Soooo. I really enjoy Kai and Jinora as well.
Yeah, Jinora is awesome.
Jinora is, I love her, and I feel like she is used so well in the later seasons. Towards the beginning, we kind of don't really know, even with all Tenzin's kids, we kind of don't really know what they're capable of. And towards the end of the series, we really see these characters shine, especially definitely. Jinora.
Yeah.
She's kind of becomes like a mentor of sorts, and she's so wise to be so young.
Yeah.
And I love that about her.
Yeah, definitely. I put up an appreciation tweet for her the other day because I noticed in both seasons 2 and 3 she comes in with those season finale clutch plays. You
Hey,
know,
yeah,
helping Korra
seriously.
find Rava, and then banding the airbenders together to stop Zahir. You're just like, come on, she
Like,
deserves them tats.
seriously, she does. And it's like, if she wasn't in the show, Korra would have she would have gotten destroyed a couple of
Yeah,
times, like you
yeah,
said. So that's crazy. Like, she's an essential part to the show. And I
definitely.
think she's kind of not really recognized as much as she should be.
No,
As
and
part of the
yeah,
show.
and she does something kind of integral, but I'll come on to that a little bit later, actually, because I think it's something we can discuss later on. But yeah, there's something within those clutch plays, and it's particularly with the one of rallying the airbenders in the 3rd season, I think is something really important actually about Korra as a character, and Jinora plays into that, but I'll come into that a bit later.
Yeah. How are you? So this discussion is about Legend of Korra.
Mm,
So what are you feeling about this character herself? This is where things might
yeah.
get a little
Yeah.
controversial, but let me
Sure,
hear your
sure.
thoughts, man.
Sure. I mean, I love Korra as a character, and she does the journey that she goes through. I think it's a very unique journey, particularly for the time that Korra was coming out. You know, I wouldn't have been able to name any animation, any cartoons that have a journey similar to that for a female character. I'm sure there are, and I'm sure someone will be able to tell me, and please do, because I want to watch them. But for me, like, you know, the fact that she is an avatar that is in a world that no longer needs the avatar, and yet her whole life growing up, you know, pre to what we see her, is in the knowledge that I'm going to go out into the world and I'm going to save it like Aang did, and Roku and Kyoshi. Like, I've heard all these amazing stories, that's what I've got to do.
Mm.
And then she goes out into the world, and the world's like, no, we don't. Like, we're cool. Like, you know, like we've got this police force, we've got this council, we've got, you know, all the nations just sort of like do their thing, and then everyone just mixes in Republic City, and it's kind of like, oh, cool. So what do I do? And so, you know, her whole identity, she wraps her identity in being the avatar, and she becomes undone, and then we have to see that journey of her not having, you know, Aang's journey was to learn to become an avatar, whereas Korra's journey is to learn to become a person. And I think that is so much. For me, on that level, I find Korra more interesting as a character than Aang. On that level. You know, it's a sliding scale.
All right.
It's a sliding scale.
All right.
You know, tomorrow I'll probably be back on Aang's side again. You know what I mean? So.
Right. Yeah. So that was really well put. I really enjoyed, you know, what you said. I will say, Korra does have aspects to her character that are, you know, interesting, entertaining, and, you know, things like that. But my issue with Korra, I feel like her whole identity is, like you said, you said it yourself, that she is the avatar. She sees that she's the avatar. She knows that, and I don't feel that she cares for the world as itself. She cares about being the avatar. She cares about she knows that this is her title and this is what she has to do, but I don't feel that she cares about the actual individuals that she's saving. And she has some very questionable choices that she makes throughout the series, especially in season 2, Spirits, where she trusts Unalaq, her uncle, and to opening the spirit portals. That was one of the things that really grind my gears, because it affected a lot of things in that universe there. Opening the spirits and leaving the portal open so spirits and humans could live together. And then, you know, we learned that creates, you know, Zahir having you know, these abilities, and that she honestly brought it on herself. That's how I feel. She brought Zahir, and he got his crew out, and they're very powerful. They put him through the ringer.
You make a really great point in that, you know, in that, her changing the world directly affects her in the end. But I also kind of think that in itself is interesting because it's essentially what all of Korra's villains sort of do to her in a way. Their results, what they want, what each villain actually wants, is understandable. It's like with Thanos. Like, we understand what it is he wants to achieve. It's just the means with which they want to achieve it. And I think that's what Korra learns from Unalaq at the end of season 2. It's like, well, actually, yeah, should the spirits and the humans, should they be apart? Is that has created an imbalance. Granted, Unalaq and Vaatu then played off of the imbalance. But then Korra's like, well, hang on a minute. What if we just, instead of bringing the dark spirits forward, what if we just go, well, let's try and make life harmonious, so then that no longer continues. So, yeah, I mean, all her villains change her, and I think, and sure, it has a knock-on effect on her, but that's what she's got to learn, I guess.
That's true, and it's just, it bothered me, the way that, you know, it was portrayed, because I don't know, I just feel like those issues, if she wouldn't have chose these things, you know, she wouldn't have been in the predicament that she, you know, basically is in. Yeah, and honestly,
but then if
I
she hadn't done it,
what's that?
Sorry, yeah, but then if she hadn't done it, the Air Nation wouldn't have been reborn as it was.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah,
But then you have people that you know, they have these abilities, but they don't want them, you know. So what happens to those type of people? You know, so it's, I don't know, it's kind of interesting there. It's kind of an interesting dynamic there. Let me grab a drink here.
But you know, then that kind of also really links heavily to Aang, well, to any avatar as well, because any avatar, usually by the age of 16, that's when they find out they're the avatar, and so life changes for them as it does for these people that become airbenders as well. It's just obviously on a greater scale like that. You know, the likelihood is you're going to have more people that say no to that. Obviously, someone that learns that they're the avatar, bar Aang's kind of the only one we really see that's like, oh, I'm not sure about this. You know? So
yeah, and she was gung ho about it. She was how old was she? Like 5? She said, "I'm the avatar. You got to deal with it." Yeah. So, and that brings me to my next point. I hope I don't sound ignorant or like I don't want to sound any type of way, but I feel like Korra's persona is not very likable. I don't want to sound like, you know, ignorant or anything. I just feel like I can't really gravitate to that character because of how angry it seems like she is, how much of an attitude it seems like she is, and it's not really for a specific reason. It's not because she's been, you know, broken in the past or anything like that. I can understand that more, but she does have issues that she deals with. Don't get me wrong. She does have issues that she deals with, but I feel like that anger doesn't really root from, you know, past experience. I think that's just kind of how her personality is. And personally, I cannot connect with that character as much as I wanted to.
Yeah, sure.
As much as Aang is like I know we're getting into the comparison a little bit, but just for this point, I feel like Aang has a personality, and I don't want them to be the same. It's okay if she has an attitude, but a reason for it. I feel like Aang had, you know, he was such a likable character. He was fun-loving. He was just, you know, a free spirit and things like that. Korra, on the other hand, she did not really have that.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I think you know, where you worry about sounding ignorant, I don't think it's a problem. I don't think you have the problem there at all. I think it's how we have grown up watching film and TV and reading stuff. Is that, you know, how many, you know, I'm going to be honest here, how many male characters are like that? Zuko in the first season is like that. Anakin Skywalker, Iron Man, Thor in his first MCU film. Like, you know, how there's so many characters, so many male characters that have all those same attributes, personality attributes as Korra.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, we as a collective accept that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it got to Korra, it got to Captain Marvel, and suddenly we're like, oh, that doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
Well, hang on a minute. Why?
Hey.
Come on, you know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I feel you. I feel you on that.
And I get, you know, and that's not to say that means you should like it. Of course not, because again, it's your opinion. Film and TV is subjective.
Very true.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that we as just a society and the way we watch film and TV, we just need to, we need to let go of how people should be, and just and this kind of really goes into Korra as well. Like Tenzin says it to her in season 2. When she loses Rava, she's all like, "Well, that's it. I'm no longer the Avatar.
Yeah.
Who cares?" And Tenzin's like, "Well, no, hang on a minute. Let go of who you think you should be and accept who you are." And I don't know, maybe Brian and Michael knew what they were saying.
Yeah, I think that was the point. That was the whole point. I think I get that. I understand that. I think it just didn't resonate with me well. And that's always. I feel like, it different things resonate with other people, in certain ways. And like you said, it's subjective. Film and TV are subjective. I think that's one of the main reasons why this show is like a bit lower on the scale on my list.
Sure.
Especially compared to Last Airbender, but the fact that she is a woman, I don't feel that has anything to do with my perspective. If it was a male, I didn't care for Tony Stark. And this is a whole nother discussion, but I didn't care for Tony Stark.
No, me neither.
These different characters that seem selfish and they're portrayed as heroes, I don't really care for. By the time Endgame came around and he made the ultimate sacrifice, he was selfless in the most ultimate way possible.
Sure.
That kind of changed my ideas of him. With Korra, I didn't really have that the change that I had with Tony.
You say you wouldn't have got that by the time she steps in front of the beam to save her enemy with Kavira, because it's the same kind of play. It's a sacrifice, but she sacrificed for the villain, and then shows
in front of the that's in series. That's in
the last series, last episode, last series. She steps in front of the spirit beam to save Kavira.
I don't know if I felt the same. I didn't feel the same way. I don't know if it's just because I invested so much of my time with the way she was before, and that's kind of how she has been. And then this last second, I don't know.
I mean, the growth. I mean, look, I think the growth of both Korra and Tony, it's very different. Yeah. But I think I would say they both arrive at the same place. And
I can see that. I don't know why it's the way that you put it. I don't know why it really isn't the same for me, but I don't know. That's just how it is.
As I say, like it's a general societal thing for me, and we both sat here and go, we both can sit here and go, well, actually, Tony didn't resonate. Tony doesn't resonate with me at all. Like Iron Man 1 and 2, Iron Man 2 in particular, I mean that whole film, but anyway. But then Iron Man 3, I'm kind of there a bit because he gets knocked back, and that's when it got more interesting. And that's the same with Korra in season 3, and I'll talk about season 3 in a bit. But so
okay. All right. So I think we talked about the hero. Well, we didn't really talk about Mako, but how do you feel about Mako?
Mako's a wet flannel. I don't know Mako. I don't like. I'm rewatching it at the moment, right? So we just finished season 2, my girlfriend and I.
Okay.
I just can't with Mako. Like, I don't know. Like, I kind of, when I first watched, when it was originally airing, I was like, yeah, cool, Mako's cool. He's a great bender. Like, I knew we were going to get into this, and I had the thought, like, in season 1, he's the only bender that one-on-one bests him on. He's the only one when he gets him with the lightning. He's the only one that beats him on one-on-one. So he's kind of cool and he's got power, but his personality, man, just for crying out loud, Mako, just
I would agree.
Wake up and smell the roses.
It's definitely lower on my character scale. Definitely lower because his character kind of falls flat. I know he's not friends, but brothers with Bolin, and their personalities are so different. And I don't expect them to be the same, but I expect them to have similarities enough to, because they are brothers and they did grow up together, but I just feel like they're just so different.
It's a shame, and if not for Nickelodeon, I would have hoped that they would have developed the. I mean, they would have. I think it's pretty well known that they would have developed the relationship between Korra and Asami further. But
Yeah.
and I think
And that was I think honestly that I think that was kind of just a shame because we didn't have anything to put them together. And I mean,
So,
there were certain scenes that we could see that there are bonding moments there, but they just kind of slapped that at the end.
I think
at the
I
very
read, yeah, well, this is it. And I read something recently actually that kind of caught my attention, and it was like, because it's yeah, you're right, it's really subtle what they do, or at least it doesn't become obvious till the end. And I saw a post on Instagram that was like, is it not obvious because we're straight, and actually for gay people it is obvious. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know because I'm straight, so I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not spoken to someone that is
right.
that identifies as gay and has watched the show, and they go, "Yeah, no, it's really obvious." You know what I mean?
So you have heard that it was
no,
really
well,
obvious?
No, okay. I haven't heard that. I'm saying that there was a post on Instagram that was questioning that.
Okay.
And it kind of got me thinking. Yeah, maybe that's a really good point as to why, for me personally, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really know that it was happening. Even when it was happening, I was just like, wait, huh? Is this really happening? I didn't know. I didn't know they were together. You know, I know she said, let's take a vacation. So okay, they're going as friends, and then they hold hands, and I'm just confused. I'm like, okay,
yeah, I was like,
interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't until Brian Konietzko put the post out to be like, yes,
exactly.
No, they are.
This is what. Yeah, I feel like it shouldn't have to do that.
no, but it also makes me want to read the comic more now as well, Turf Wars, because I'm assuming it's better explored in there. So
yeah, I feel like Korra is just such a. I'm not gonna say that. I don't think Korra is a likable character. That's why.
Sure.
It doesn't work with Mako, and I feel like it wouldn't really work with Asami either, but I don't know.
I don't think it. I just don't think it works for Mako because of Mako. To be honest, I don't think
that's true.
Because of Korra.
I think Korra is. Both of them are hard to would be hard to date. But when I watch the show, I'm like, who wants to date Korra? Like she's not. She's so unlikable to me.
For me, if we have to question that, for me, it's that she's too wrapped up in being the Avatar, and I think, I think it says a lot that her relationship with Asami doesn't develop until later on in the show when Korra begins to understand herself more as a person and mellows out. And I think, it kind of, Asami stuck by her, and now it's like, all right.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Definitely. So we're going to move on to the villains. I don't know if this discussion is going to be as long as the heroes because there's a lot to unwrap with the heroes. But with the villains, so do you have any favorite villains and what are they and why?
Zahir. I never have to think about this. Zahir is hands down the greatest villain across both shows.
I would agree.
I prefer it. Yeah, I think the first thing that is great about him is that he's an airbender. He's a villainous airbender. Everything we've learned about airbenders up to that point is that they're peaceful, spiritual humans, and that they don't look for the fight. And now Zahir is like, well, I have this political outcome that I want to gain, and the universe has given me the power to do it.
And honestly, I feel like his vision was the same as the airbender, but it was executed in a totally different way.
Sure.
He wanted peace. He didn't want rulers. He wanted, everyone to be in charge of themselves, basically. He didn't.
Yeah.
So taking out whoever he needed to take out was going to create peace.
Yeah.
And that was crazy to me that, he has the same goal, but he's going about it a totally different way.
Yeah. And what I also love as well is that he's also the greatest challenge, I think, that Korra has to face because he's the only one she doesn't really defeat in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like, all the others she does, I guess in the end, slightly different with Amon maybe, but in the end, she does personally one-on-one stop them. and sort of there, but you know, Zahir is the one she definitively loses to. I think that's something we can definitely agree on there.
She had a lot of help taking Zahir down.
Well, exactly, you know, and I think because he you know, so much so he presents a challenge for her, you know, up to halfway through the next season as well.
Yes,
and I think that really shows. And then, but then when she goes to visit him in the fourth season, he's then also like, look, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. You know, he's like, yeah, I have to help you because the world is in imbalance, and that's not what I want. So
yeah, that's exactly what I didn't want.
Yeah.
So yeah, Zahir, the levels, you know, the layers to that character is just it's crazy. I never really thought about it until, you know, my rewatch here recently, and I was just like, Zahir is probably one of the best villains in animation. Like I have to, you know, I'm thinking about all the animated shows and, you know, films that I've seen, and I think across animation, this is a very powerful villain. And, you know, I don't know, I really enjoy that villain.
And then also, you know, he's not completely overpowered as well, because Tenzin places him straight in his place. Do you know what I mean? Like, as soon as he comes up against a master airbender, it's like, sit back down.
and he was saying, I do respect a master airbender, and like he has such a persona about himself that he feels like he's the hero of his own story. A lot of villains do feel that, but I feel like he really thinks that it's going to bring balance and peace to the world. You know, it's not just, you know, chaos that he wants. It's you know, peace, and it's really interesting. It's like it's very,
and actually, you know what? I really love your point there about him respecting Tenzin, because, you know, he kills the Earth Queen without a second thought. He chucks Tonrok off that cliff without a second thought.
True.
But he doesn't actually, you know, Tenzin is the one that makes the move in that fight in the end. And even when, you know, they eventually beat Tenzin down, they still keep him alive. So you know, it says a lot about. I think it actually says a lot about Zahir, that
it does.
That, you know, how much he respects airbending and how much he respects you know, living under a master, essentially.
True, very true. So we talked about our favorite villain. So let's talk about some other villains here in the show. I guess we'll start with Amon, season 1. And so Amon, he's a bloodbender. You know, we find that out towards the end of the season, and he's kind of for, you know, people with no bending. That's what he fights for. So what do you think about Amon in the series?
Yeah, so Amon's introduction, I think, was really interesting because, you know, obviously up until the final few episodes, we don't know that he's a waterbender. And it really speaks to what the show says the whole way through all 4 seasons of, you know, is this a world that needs an avatar anymore? Because his whole story is that the spirits have given me the gift to take away bending. And it's like, oh, okay, so while the new avatar has been away, you know, growing up and training, actually have the spirits actually turned around and gone, do you know what? We need to sort some things out here, because, you know, you look at the way the world has grown in that time, and actually, you know, as we say, with the metal benders policing Republic City, you know, you see like things with like pro bending, and with Mako, he's got that work at the power station, and they're like, you know, a whole row of lightning benders all of a sudden. And it's kind of like, actually, has bending kind of taken over a bit too far? And do we need to balance ourselves back out a bit and give a chance for non-benders again? So the premise of Amon was great. And then actually, when it's revealed that he's a waterbender and a bloodbender, you know, the bloodbending is kind of confusing as to how he can use that to stop bending from happening.
Take away.
Considering it's never explained, and, you know, we kind of have to fill in the gap. The gap I filled in was that he must just clot a part of the brain that controls bending, but who knows? But I think that, you know, once that comes out, and it's like, oh. And it's the same with Zahir. It's like, oh, our villain's a waterbender. This is not, waterbenders were, you know, okay, like Master Paku was kind of a bit mean, but that was as far as it ever got. And Hama was a complete nut job, but that was ever as far as it got.
Right.
But now he's our central villain.
Yeah, it's in the forefront.
Yeah.
And I loved how they explored that.
Yeah, and he was scary, right?
He was scary. The mask.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I really, really enjoyed the fact that he got to Korra and he took away her bending. He actually did that.
Yeah.
And that brings me kind of back to Zahir and what you said about him taking out the Earth Queen. They did not pull their punches there.
No.
And that's something I love about Korra.
Yeah.
I love about that show.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, Amon. So what do we feel about Unalaq and Vaatu?
I don't dislike Unalaq and I don't dislike Vaatu. My issue is, especially when you compare them to the other three main villains of the show, is that they're just a bit evil for evil's sake. And I think that kind of loses it a bit. And, you know, Zahir quite nicely explains it, that Unalaq was part of the Red Lotus and he just took the methodology too far. Yeah. And I like that they tried to cover that up a bit. And actually in season 4, in the clip show they have Remembrances, they completely just on the nose take the mick out of Unalaq being a crap villain. Which,
because they did. That was a very satirical episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did poke fun at that.
Yeah, but I don't, you know, I think the only thing I in the end I kind of prefer more his conflict with Tonrock, actually, because I just think that his stuff with Korra and with Rava, I just think is a bit evil for evil's sake. It's a bit too. It's light and dark, and there's no morally grey. Whereas with his brother, there's a bit more morally grey because he underpinned his brother in order to become chief, and I think that is more interesting within a lot than
I would completely agree with you there. Unalaq is my least interesting character. I am kind of interested in Vaatu because of the Rava and Vaatu, you know, back and forth over, you know, centuries. And we get introduced to Avatar 1, which is the very first Avatar. And we understand how Avatar came to be. And I loved that, you know, arc, you know, in the second series, second season. And you know, everything else about the second season, I didn't really care for.
You know, it's the longest of all 4 of them, and actually, it's probably the only one that could do with being shorter, whereas all the others could do with being a bit longer.
True, very true.
Because they fluff it out at the beginning with, you know, it's not till Avatar 1 and after it then the plot really starts to drive home, and I think it's really exciting after that. But yeah, have you seen who voices Avatar 1, by the way?
Yeah, Stephen Yeun.
Stephen Yeun, right?
Yes, I love that.
I found that out at the beginning of this year, and I'm like, how? Really? Like, Korra's been out since what, like 2014? How did I not know this?
Korra the show has so many special guests and special voices, and I love that. That's so cool. But Stephen Yeun, he did a very good job, you know, as Avatar 1. I feel like his voice fit perfectly.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, and it's kind of funny because we're actually rewatching The Walking Dead at the moment as well. I mean, we're long past Glenn's exit, but having seen it again recently, I was just kind of like, he does such a great job as Avatar 1, but the only other thing I've seen him in is as Glenn, and I'm like, but I can't. Glenn as Avatar, like Avatar 1 is so much cooler than Glenn, and I'm just like,
exactly.
It's like, but it shows Steven's range, and it's just kind of, you know. True. Even just in those 2 characters, and I'm sure he can push it even further again.
Yeah, I'd love to see him in more things. I know he has some films out, you know, and he was in a Netflix film called Okja and things like that.
Right, I've heard that's a really good film.
I heard it was pretty good. I watched maybe like 30 minutes of it, but I hadn't seen it all. But yeah, I know that he's, you know, he stars in that movie and things like that, but I haven't seen him in a huge, big production. Things like that. So I'd like to see him, you know, as a lead in something.
Sure, definitely.
But yeah, so that brings us to Kavira. We hadn't really talked about Kavira. We mentioned her earlier a bit with when Korra sacrifices herself, or she intends to sacrifice herself to save her. Yeah. But Kavira, I think she's not my least favorite villain. I understand her plight. I understand her, you know, her plan. And like you said, you know, kind of a Thanos type thing where we understand it, but, you know, it goes too far. It just goes too far.
Definitely. I really like Kavira, I have to say. I think she's an amazing villain. And it is for the reasons you just said, and that her end game is fine. It's her means to get there, the issue.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's anything more I can really say about her apart from that. You know, and that's not to say that there probably isn't more. I just think she's good for a lot of the same reasons that the other villains are.
Yeah.
And actually, you know, if I have to rank them, I'd place her second after Sahir. I think I do still prefer her a bit more to Amon, and I think that's maybe just because of the premise of Amon, like, you know, the idea of, oh, did the spirits give him the power, or he's a waterbender? I don't know. Maybe I think that, you know, Kavira she's just kind of Kavira throughout.
Yeah,
I think just kind of works for me.
I would agree, but I would say that the final battle between Kavira and Korra basically was a little underwhelming to me. I feel like it could have been hand to hand, but I think Korra would destroy Kavira very easily if it was hand to hand. So I understand why they didn't do that, but the whole robot thing, you know, the mecha robot thing.
Here it is. I think I was watching a video yesterday that sort of touched on that, and I think, you know, because obviously it's not the season finale fight akin to Aang and Ozai or Korra and Zahir, which are two incredible fights.
Yes.
But I think what this video was saying was that actually what the fight shows against Kavira and her mega mecha suit was that actually it's mirrors Korra's growth throughout the show, in that, you know, she has always thought she's got to be the one that has to save the day. It's got to be her. She's got to do it. But actually, Korra's growth has been learning about what her place actually is in this world. And what her place actually is it's not her doing it. It's her along with the world sorting that out. And so that when she's in that tank, in that suit, fighting with Mako and Berlin and Suyin and Lin, and then the airbenders and the Beifongs all out on, and Asami all out on the street, it's kind of like that's what this is what Korra's growth is about. It's about her finding her place, because these people, you know, while Korra was away for those 3 years after the fight with Zahir, these are the people that have been trying to keep the world together and trying to keep Kavira at bay. And so actually Korra's place isn't fighting in place of them, it's leading them and bringing them, you know, all together in one. And so I think I get why we want a big fight like Ozai and Zahir, and I'm there with that as well. And I think this, you know, what this video highlights out is that, well, actually, it links to the growth of Korra as a character. I'm like, actually, you know what? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It's just kind of tough for me. I don't know.
Look, you know, it's a video. Sorry, it's a video I watched only yesterday.
Yeah.
So, but you know, and also I think I also think at the same time, what maybe hinders it slightly is that a lot of Legend of Korra is about Korra, and we don't, you know, we miss a lot of opportunities to properly grow the other characters. You know, have a look in season 4. We have a whole thing with Kai in season 3, and really in season 4. Kai's story never really gets finished in that season.
Agreed.
And someone pointed out actually that in The Last Airbender, there are only 13 characters who are in 10 or more episodes, whereas in Legend of Korra, it's double that. There are 26 characters in 10 or more episodes. So you can see how the character development, and actually there are fewer episodes in Legend of Korra as well. Yeah. I think they said there are 66 episodes in Airbender, 52 in Korra. So with more characters taking more time in less episodes, you can see why they get spread thin a bit, and maybe why the end of season 4 doesn't punch as hard as it could do.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we are going to, that brings us to our next category. Favorite seasons and why. We discussed a lot of the seasons and, you know, a lot of things that happen within the seasons. Could you give us a ranking?
Yeah, I think I easily could. I think I would go for season 1, season 2.
Okay. Mine would be 4, 3, 1, and 2. Cool. 2 is definitely the lesser of the others to me, in my opinion. But 4 with Kavira, I really enjoyed the aftermath that you know, Zahir left on, you know, Korra throughout the season, and she's trying to, you know, bring balance and defeat Kavira, but she can't because of this, you know, maybe I would put 3 above 4. Maybe I'll put 3 above 4 because I do really enjoy Zahir. I don't know. It might be a tie. It might be a tie. Honestly.
Do you know what? It's tough with those 2 seasons, and I think a lot of it draws down to the fact that, you know, the creators, Brian and Michael, they were told, right, you've got 1 season of Legend of Korra, cool, and you know, that's why it finishes on such a bow with her getting everything back. And then they were like, you know, then obviously that was popular, so Nickelodeon went, right, have another one. All right, we'll have another one. And again, that sort of finishes on a little bit of a bow, slightly more open-ended. But then Nickelodeon went, all right, have another 2. Here, you got 3 and 4. And I think, you know, 3 and 4, they definitely have a bit more coherence than with the others. And I think you know, that's why it's certainly tough to decide which is better than the other. And I think that's for me why I rank them as 1 and 2 on my list.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. If I had a tier list, that would be easier than doing, you know, the ranking.
Sure.
But yeah, 3, I would put 3, 4, 1, and then 2.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, that brings us to the very last category.
Ooh.
Comparing The Last Airbender to Legend of Korra. We're just gonna kind of do just a general comparison, not anything specific. But could you just off the bat, which one is your favorite series?
So you know, if I had to be black and white about it, then The Last Airbender is certainly my more favorite of the 2. However, you know, just going back to what we did about ranking the seasons, actually, if I was to rank both show seasons together in one thing, I go season 2 of Last Airbender and then season 3 of Legend of Korra. So, and it's kind of more neatly interwoven actually in how I feel about the 2 shows. You know, I think really the biggest comparison you can get between them for me, I mean, there's lots of comparisons, but the biggest one is naturally always between Aang and Korra, and how, you know, because their placement, their identities, their motivations, their objectives are what drive the show. They are the protagonists of each show. And so what, you know, the biggest thing I can say is that Aang is someone in a universe that needs the Avatar and he doesn't want to be it. And then Korra is someone in a universe that wants to be the Avatar, but the world no longer needs it. And I think that's where I can say, really, if I dive into it, I like them both equally because they're working from similar but different places.
That was very well put. Very well put. I would say I prefer The Last Airbender simply because if I were to put on any episode of Last Airbender, I would be into it rather than Legend of Korra. I feel like I have to start at the beginning of the season and watch it out. I can't really pick and choose, you know, random episodes to watch or put on, you know. With Avatar, The Last Airbender, I can start any place, you know, anytime in the show, and I would be satisfied. So I think just that, you know, I think that I would choose The Last Airbender over Korra. But I think both shows are written tremendously.
Sure, definitely.
And yeah, I don't want to take that away from Korra. I feel like it's a lot more linear.
Yeah,
Korra is a lot more linear in the timeline.
Definitely. And look, what both shows do really well is that they deal with really, you know, some tough subject matter. You know, if you look at Zuko's storyline is prime example of that. You know, the way his father treats him is barbaric, and you know, for a kids show to deal with that is incredible. And then when you get to Legend of Korra and she spends half a season going through PTSD, you're just like wow, this is incredible stuff. And actually, you know, Korra, in a way, the show almost grows up with the fans from Avatar: The Last Airbender as well. I think I feel they certainly went into that knowing, look, our core audience are going to be the people that watched Last Airbender almost 10 years ago, so we need to work with that. You know, it wasn't,
for sure, they
didn't care that they were going onto the same network that was going to be like, no, we need you to age it down. They were like, but that's not who our audience are anymore. So
definitely,
so and that links into what you say about the writing just being, you know, so good because the creators know who their audience is.
Yes, agreed. And I have a question for you.
Yo,
Do you feel that this could be a series that, you know, could go on and there could be more Avatar shows and, you know, they could create more and more Avatar series? Is this something that you feel that they could do, or they should just
yeah.
stop at Korra?
I guess it depends as to how they're feeling, really, because, you know, obviously their next move was to make the live action Airbender, and unfortunately they've severed ties with Netflix. I mean, Netflix are still going to make the show, and I think, yeah, you know, and I think this is the thing: as long as Brian and Michael are doing it within their vision, I'm happy to see more stuff, and I don't mind as to how that comes. You know, I've read about 2.5 of the Airbender comics, and I think, you know, they are brilliant. And again, you know, Michael and Brian's names are on it, so it's keeping that thorough through, which is really important. I've heard that the Kyoshi novels are insane. I've not read them yet, but I've heard they are. I've heard that they are brilliant. So I don't know. Maybe they continue doing that. Maybe we explore some more Roku stories. I don't know. Do I want to see who the next Avatar after Korra is? Yeah. I mean, if you've got that, if you've got the plans and you're gonna want to do it, I'm not gonna say no. You know, look, it's like, I guess it's like with Doctor Who. Look how many they've had. What, 13 Doctors now? So, and we've had in shows, we've had 2 Avatars. So, you know, how many? James Bond is a film series that's been going for over 60 years.
True.
Star Wars for over 40 years. MCU has 20. You know, it's comics. Look how long comics have been going for, just in general. And how many iterations of the same superhero there are. So there's I mean, it's completely possible. It's completely possible. And for me, it just, you know, as with a lot of these things, it just needs the input of the creators, really, I think, of the people that have been there for a long time.
Yeah, I agree. If it's done by anyone else other than the original creators, I think, I don't know, I might still watch it and might enjoy it, but I am going into it kind of nervous.
Yeah, look, and you know, and I think I understand that, and I would too. So, you know, it's why I'm now nervous about the Netflix show, and I wonder if a lot of that has stemmed from Star Wars and Disney, because of the general reaction to how that's gone. You know, I'm happy. Like, you know, I prefer George Lucas told the story. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe in partnership may have been better, but, you know, at the same time, when new people do get the properties, they can bring fresh ideas onto it, which might help. But I think, you know, while the original creators are there and they've, you know, juices are flowing and ideas are there, then of course they've got to lead the reins on that, definitely.
Right.
But then if they sell it for £3 million, then you know, you get what you paid for. To be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was going to ask you one last question. I forgot that I had this question. But which team Avatar do you prefer?
Well, I mean, it's the first team Avatar, because they are, you know, we had the chance to actually get those characters developed and be a team. Look, I mean, the team Avatar at the end of Korra, it's a much bigger team, you know, because of how many more people really she has been able to influence. But come on.
Yeah, I feel like
Team Avatar. Come on, look at them. Look at There's nothing more gorgeous than that.
And I think there were more. You know, we talked about this a little bit. There was more time for those characters to bond.
Yeah,
there's more time with them together, and you know, even Zuko towards the end of the last Airbender series. He was Team Avatar, and you know, everybody had a separate mission with him, and it was each episode. Man, when I don't want to get into that. We kind of already did with our previous video. Did with our discussion. If you guys haven't seen that video, go back. I'm gonna put a link in the description. And yeah, but yes. Dude, thank you for coming by, talking Legend of Korra. I love this show. I really enjoy it, and I know you do too. Let us know where we can find you and what you got coming up on your channel. I know you came back off hiatus.
Yeah, I was on a big hiatus. But yeah, you guys can find me everywhere with HakunaMaChatter. I've got to try and my camera's mirrored. HakunaMaChatter, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm all there. Yeah, I'm coming back. I don't know as to exactly when this video will drop, but Friday the 25th of September is when I officially come back to YouTube with a brand new series. So it's Diversity Heroes. I'm talking about some of my favorite people within the film and TV industry, both Hollywood and UK, who are really leading the charge, in my opinion, for better representation within film and TV. So it's a 10-part series, starts Friday the 25th of September. It'll be going on for 10 episodes, dropping every Friday after that.
Where I know where I'm gonna be on Fridays on YouTube. So yes, thanks again. I'm going to AJREACTS2. You can find me on YouTube. Well, you're here on YouTube. So you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Letterboxd, Twitch, AJREACTS2, all across the board. And as far as what is coming up on my channel, it is collab month. I have some awesome YouTubers, awesome folks coming by the channel. We're going to talk TV, movies, all kinds of stuff like that, rankings, tier lists. It's been an awesome month so far. I'm ready to do some more. And thank you again, Elliot from HakunaMaChatter. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.